So I recently went to this love workshop and someone asked, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? And the answer was that who we attract isn't about our preferences, it's about our beliefs. And this was so insightful because I learned that no matter what your type is, no matter what you're looking for, the qualities that you seek in a partner, you first need to seek within yourself. Because we don't attract what we want or what we hope for. We attract what we believe and what we claim to be ours. So let me go into more detail. So this person that asked the question, she said that she keeps attracting men that makes her feel really anxious. And she said, I want to stop meeting men like this. How do I meet a man who doesn't make me feel anxious? And the workshop guide was a therapist. She said, okay, first of all, that person doesn't exist because there's no one out there that is never going to make you anxious. She said that if you notice this pattern, that you keep attracting people that make you feel anxious, it's because you feel anxious inside. So until you soothe that part of yourself that's feeling anxious, you'll continue to repeat this pattern. And you'll continue to believe that your partner will make you anxious. So the therapist said, once you feel more secure within yourself, you'll find that you naturally attract a partner who also makes you feel more secure. So our partners are really like mirrors. They reflect what we believe, and they reflect a lot of our inner state. And as the therapist was answering this girl's question, another person connected the dots and she shared, okay, now I see why I keep finding myself in situationships. I really want to be in a committed relationship, but I'm afraid of intimacy. So I keep telling myself that I'm okay with these situationships. And it's her fear of intimacy that keeps attracting these men who also avoid intimacy. And what I learned is that I tend to value my partner more than I value myself. I always find my partners to be amazing people. I see so much in them. I appreciate their potential. But in comparison, I haven't been able to give myself the same amount of admiration and respect that I give my partners. So previously, I found myself in relationships where my partners value themselves more than they value me. And now that I know how important it is for me to feel valued and seen and appreciated in a relationship, I now realize that I need to treat myself the way I've been treating my partners. I need to acknowledge my own value, celebrate my own potential, and accept my own uniqueness. Because what we believe about ourselves gets reflected back to us through our partners. So meeting your type isn't about going out there to look for them. It's about acknowledging those qualities in ourselves first. Because the type of person that we attract is limited to what we believe and claim to be true for ourselves. Realistically, I don't think there's anyone out there who will never ever make you feel anxious or who will always make you feel valued every moment of the day. And I think that's why it's even more important that we're able to give ourselves that feeling first. Because we can't depend on another person to give us that feeling. They can only add to that feeling that we already have inside. If I truly value myself, I don't need to constantly seek validation from my partner. I don't need to be pressuring them to make me feel valued. I will always feel valued if I'm able to give it to myself, and my partner's actions will just support what I'm already feeling inside. So in the love workshop, the therapist talked a lot about our core emotion. And our core emotion is our deepest emotional need. And when these core emotions are met, we feel safe, loved, and appreciated in a relationship. But the thing is, it's not easy to identify our core emotion because the core emotion is often underneath the surface level emotion. So for example, if someone tends to be jealous, the surface emotion is jealousy. But the core emotion that's lying beneath that jealousy might be the fear of abandonment or longing for reassurance. Or if we think about someone who tends to be avoidant, their surface behavior would be withdrawal, but behind that behavior is the core emotion, which could be the fear of not being enough or the shame of being vulnerable. And I think it's really important to identify our own core emotion when it comes to love and romantic relationships, because once we know what our core emotion is, first, we're able to meet it ourselves. And then secondly, we're able to communicate it to our partners and also make sure that we're meeting partners that are aligned with the support that we need. So I have 2 journaling prompts for you, and they can help you to begin exploring what your core emotion might be. But I think it would be helpful to share your response with ChatGPT because it can be a bit tricky to identify your core emotion, especially because it's very hidden behind the surface level emotions and behaviors that we express. So the first question is, when do I feel most loved? And I think for this one, it's really important to think of real examples that you have experienced. It doesn't have to be in a romantic relationship. And I think it's important to really go into detail about what happened. What did the other person do or say to make you feel loved? Really describe that situation, because the moment that you feel most loved really reveals to you what your heart needs. And the second question is, what hurts me the most in love? And again, go into detail about the behavior, the language, the expressions that make your heart ache the most. Because what hurts us the most is usually the absence of our core emotion. It's when our core emotion is really being neglected, it's not being met. So I invite you to play around with these 2 journaling prompts, see what comes up for you, and I hope you're able to identify your core emotion. And another reason our core emotion is important is because it lies beneath what our type is. So when we describe what our type is, that's also another surface level expression. We say things like, oh, I like someone who treats me this way, who makes me feel this way. But what we're describing is the manifestation of our core emotion being tended to. And while it's important to meet someone who can hold space for that core emotion, I think it's even more important that we're able to do that for ourselves first. In order for us to meet someone who can emotionally support us in the way that we need, we first need to know what we need. And understanding our core emotion really helps us to figure that out and to nurture ourselves and tend to our emotional needs with attentiveness. So attracting our type is really about first understanding what we need, and second, being able to give that to ourselves first. So this is something that I'm going to be working on for a while. So if you find what I've shared to be true and you have a story that you'd like to share, please do so in the comments. I'd love to hear how it played out for you.